Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to do the third part of the Lady Deathstrike storyline in Daredevil that introduced her as a character in the Marvel Universe. This is where Daredevil goes to Japan and looks for Bullseye, who recently killed Elektra, and he's being revived. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a 12-page, full-size, usually full color, but I'm going black and white for a few issues to catch up time-wise to get back into the swing of the full color and stuff. You can check these out at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. Actually, it's Alex Turbin. Or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and that's where you can find Mutandis and The Forlorn and all kinds of other stuff that I've done previously in my publishing career. Like I said, this is Random Access, and you can get these also at the website, alexanderturbin.com, and Patreon. And you can just message me at Instagram at AlexTurbin04401. This is my newest book, Queller, and it's a reprint of Random Access number 3 and number 5. And this is in complete newsprint. So when you get this Queller number 1, it will be in newsprint. And it has a little bit of a different flavor and a different feel than the other books. So I have one last announcement, or a couple last announcement actually. I'm in the newest issue of The Brutal Blade of Crom, which is created by or put together by Jamie Barrows. It's an anthology, and it has some of the best indie comics artwork out there. And I have 6 pages and a pinup, so check that out. Go to Jamie Barrows at Instagram, and I'll also link that into the where you can get a copy in the description. And also, Kurt Bruegel's Crom, he recently sent this to me, and this is another. It's not an anthology. It's more has the origins, because it has the original Crom, because Crom is a public domain character, and we've all kind of latched onto him as a character because we can't draw Conan, so we're going to do the next best thing. And he has some stories in here, and there's some prose, and there's pinups, and it's a fantastic looking book, and I can't wait to get into it. And I will also link that in the description as well, the where you can get that and stuff. It's a fantastic book. It's only $13, and it is really a fantastic deal in my opinion. It's so big and has so many pages, and it's just such a beautiful book. I'll also be reviewing the Crom that I'm in as soon as I get a copy. So this is Daredevil number 199, and I don't know who did the cover for this, and I'm not really too impressed by it actually. But let's move these things out of the way. This is 197 and 198, and they both have their ups and downs, and their good points and not so great points. But it's really the introduction of Lady Deathstrike, which is Yuriko, that we're really delving into at the moment. This will be the last part of the Daredevil run where they introduce her, and then the next ones will be getting into Alpha Flight issue 33 and 34, which is what I'm really, really excited about, because I think that's where she takes a turn for, excuse me, the more diabolical, I guess, and where she has her grievance with Wolverine and all that stuff, and it's some great art and everything. So I'm really excited. I mean, these have been pretty good. They've had, like I said, they've had their ups and downs, but it's really the Alpha Flights and the X-Men that I'm really trying to get to. Like I said before, this is like in between Frank Miller runs on Daredevil, and so I think people kind of maybe didn't read them as much and stuff, even though they continue the tradition of going to Japan or having ninjas and samurai and stuff like that. I think this is actually the first time that he goes to Japan. And the story so far was that Daredevil, like I said, went to Japan looking for Bullseye because he had learned that Bullseye had been resurrected by the Hand, and Bullseye killed Elektra. And so Daredevil, I don't know what he plans to do when he finds Bullseye, because he doesn't kill. So is he just going to whoop his ass real bad, or is he actually going to kill him? So I don't know. The last issue left with Yuriko and Daredevil in a small village farm, hiding out and trying to get away from the cold winter winds and snow and stuff. It also has them kind of having sex, I think. And maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just kind of canoodling and stuff like that, because I don't know. They kind of talk about it in here, but it's not really exactly shown exactly what happens, because, you know, Yuriko is out to save her lover, Kira, from her father. So that doesn't make really a whole lot of sense. But I guess they were cold and tired, so shit happens. So Daughter of the Dark Wind. And so it starts out, there's an earthquake, because earthquakes are prevalent in Japan, so there's obviously going to be one. It also kind of messes up Matt Murdock's radar senses and his other senses. So I think this is a good kind of a foreshadowing on things that are going to happen. They're in the farmhouse. It's morning, and I guess they wake up to the earthquake. And I didn't say who did the art and writing. It's Denny O'Neil did the story, and William Johnson does the pencils. Danny Bolandi does the inks, and Joe Rosen does the letters, and Bob Sharon does the colors. So I'm really into this William Johnson. He did the last issue in 197. He did the pencils for most of the issue with the inks by the great and fantastic Mike Mignola, but I wasn't really into that too much. I think Mignola kind of maybe put his own fingerprints on the inking, on the pencils and stuff, and he just kind of lost his way. The pencils, he lost a lot of stuff. He lost a lot of the details that I think this new inker kind of shines through with. I don't know if William Johnson did all these details, or it was the inker that did all the details. Either one, and that maybe Mike Mignola didn't do all of them. I'm trying to look and see who actually did the inks. Danny Boldini. Yep, he did the inks for both the issues, both of these issues, and I actually like them a little bit more. It is very 80s and 70s and 80s looking. It's kind of, he's got bell bottoms, and it's kind of just got that 70s and 80s look about it. But so it's not really like Mike Mignola has his own style. He hadn't really grown into it yet, I don't think, as the inker. But it didn't really show through either. So I mean, I do like it. Do I love Mike Mignola a lot more as he progressed and became the pencil and inker that he was? Yes, of course I do. And we'll see that in the Alpha Flights 33 and 34. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're at an earthquake. They're in the farmhouse. And Daredevil has some sort of psychic bond with Bullseye. He hit his head, and they can kind of tell when they're around and stuff. And so she rushes them out of the farmhouse when the earthquake happens, so nothing happens to them. And they're just kind of wandering around, getting ready to attack the castle where Lord Darkwind and Bullseye are. This is very kind of an unusual story. Darkwind sends Bullseye off, but right now they're just talking about how awesome Bullseye is with every weapon, and Lord Darkwind really he's pretty amazed by Bullseye's abilities, and also he's telling him that he wants him to kill the Minister of Trade from Japan in New York City, because he doesn't like that Japan has become such a corporate and merchant civilization. He likes the old style of samurai and feudalism, and he said the samurai would not even touch money. It was beneath them, it was below them, and that they would use their weapons and their skills to get what they wanted. They didn't use merchants and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. And so he wants to send Bullseye to New York to kill the minister. So this is where Bullseye just kind of talks about how he's the best at using weapons, throwing weapons, shooting weapons, everything, and it doesn't matter. And he wants to go fight Daredevil. But like in the last issue, Lord Darkwind says, no, you're not going to fight Daredevil. You're still too injured, and I need you to do this assassination for me. It's more important. I'm going to have my samurai archers and my samurai swordsmen and myself when and if Daredevil makes it through the archers and the swordsmen and himself. So he wants to send Bullseye away to do his bidding. So then you go back to Daredevil and Yuriko, and they're infiltrating the castle, and they're just talking about how much she hates him and stuff like that. I do want to go back and discuss a couple of things. Here is, as you all know, I hate the arrow. The arrow really is a lazy way of doing, showing what you should be looking at next in the panel. And Marvel in this issue not only does it once, but twice. They use a different technique and a better technique than using the arrow. Here's this panel. You read that first, and then you go to this panel. And then because this third panel or fourth panel is longer than these two, or it's the same size as these two, your eye doesn't really know which to go, here or here. But they solved that in a very elegant way of using the lettering here and the word balloon, so it connects these two panels together. So you know exactly where to read, and you're not going to go here, 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 and then make a mistake and backtrack and go like that. It's a really great technique, and I'm definitely going to have to remember that just by having this overlaid panel. This overlaid word balloon in between these panels makes your eye connect to it, and it's a fantastic way of doing it. It looks like this is maybe an afterthought because the word balloon is a little yucky looking, but they do it again later on, like I said, and it's much more crisp. And maybe they were trying to figure out how to do that in a better way, and they succeeded. So anybody that is wondering how you can use arrows or something other than the arrow to convey which panel you're supposed to read next, the word balloon is a fantastic idea and a way to do it. And also it shows the word balloons actually point to where you're supposed to be reading, and then it goes to the next one, and then so on. It's kind of snakes like that. So it's really fantastic. So like I said, they're talking about old Japan and new Japan and what he's doing and everything. And so then they have the samurai that are going to be in the way of Daredevil when he comes, because Bullseye knows that Daredevil's coming because they have this mutually hateful relationship, and that has like a psychic bond between them. And so Yuriko's telling Daredevil where they need to go, and they're just discussing how much they hate Darkwind and Bullseye and her tattoo or her face burning and stuff like that. And I am so eager to reread issue 33 of Alpha Flight and see if her tattoo is still there and when she doesn't have it, or if she has it in all of them. So they're going back and they're talking about Kira and who they should, whether or not they should kill the samurai and Darkwind and all that stuff. These other samurai they fought earlier in issue 198. So Daredevil's like, I didn't kill them then, and Yuriko's like, you should have killed them. And he says, I didn't kill them then. I don't need to kill them now. I'm just going to kick their asses just like last time. And it's some really good fight scenes. And this William Johnson, William Johnson, he's really he's got these fight scenes down now. They're concise, they're action filled. Again, my only grievance is that the panel sizes are kind of all the same. The character sizes are all the same. So it makes the action a little bit less dynamic. But, you know, every comic is different. And sometimes maybe this would be the best thing to do. And maybe it's not the best thing to do. So he dispatches the samurai. And they're still talking about what they're going to do. And Lord Darkwind is telling Kira to send... his mission to send is to escort Bullseye off of the lake or off of the island and bring him to New York City, where he's supposed to kill the Japanese ambassador. Daredevil and Yuriko still talking about her being branded and how she hates her father and all of this stuff, and her brothers who died for him. It's all about loyalty, and really it's kind of discussing fiefdom and having a master and stuff like that. At one point, Daredevil says, it doesn't make any sense to you that I don't have a master serving, and my only master is justice and you know, saving the day, pretty much. So it really kind of shows that's who he is compared to who she is, and how kind of the rest of Japanese society is at the point. So the archers attack. Daredevil pushes Yuriko out of the way into the snow, away from the arrow. Again, this is the second time they used the word balloon instead of an arrow. A lot of artists would just put the arrow here and have the word balloon inside, but they don't need that. It is very, very easy to read. You don't have to double back. You just read this and then read this and read this, and then you're automatically drawn to the last final panel. I really like this 4-panel thing that they have going on. It's not super dynamic, but it's easy to read, and it really allows the art to really breathe. And that's kind of what I really like in the newer comics, is less panels, so you can have a little bit more breathability in your artwork, and you can kind of have a little bit more detail in some of the things you're doing. The archers take aim and they shoot a bunch of arrows at Daredevil, but because of course he has his supersonic hearing and his radar, he just kind of catches them and snaps them, and they run away like little children. It's a little weird that they don't whip out the swords and try to attack him. I kind of would have had that happen, because I don't think they would have just run away like that. But Yuriko is like, is the word centrific, and Daredevil says sensational or terrific. Anyway, thanks. And so she mixed the two words together, because she's kind of realizing now that Daredevil is a super special kind of character, super with his abilities and stuff. Although she's seen lots of different characters have different abilities, I'm sure, in Japan. I mean, they can use a sword like crazy. This is the part where Bullseye and Lord Darkwind are talking about what Bullseye wants in payment for killing the minister. And Darkwind is like, I saved your life and I brought you back from the dead and all of that stuff. So you don't get any payment. That's my payment. You owe me. So Bullseye's like, okay. And so they're just kind of talking about where he's going and what he's doing. And Yuriko and Daredevil, they make it to the castle, make it to the final boss. And, well, actually, it's not the final boss quite yet. Still going on and on about her disconfiguration, or her disfiguration. And this is where Daredevil says he doesn't serve a master, he serves justice. And he serves an ideal. And this is where the samurai attack with their swords. And Daredevil just kind of grabs his hand and kicks him in the face. And Yuriko grabs the sword. There were supposed to be 3 of them. And I don't know what happens there. I guess they just fight later. Maybe they fight later on. I can't remember. So Kira and Bullseye are going into the ocean away from the island. And Kira... they're just kind of talking, and Kira's like, I really admire the fact that you're going to do the master's bidding. And Bullseye says, screw that, I'm not doing that. He's not paying me. I get paid money to kill people, and if he's not going to pay me, I'm not going to kill anybody. So Kira whips out his sword and he's going to attack Bullseye, and Bullseye just smashes him in the face with a wine jug or whatever. Kira falls off the boat, and Bullseye has to row his way back to the mainland. Here is another place where they actually do use the arrow, which is all they had to do was use this word balloon between the panels, and they would have gotten, and they wouldn't have had to use that. It does, I mean, the arrow, I do hate it, but it does convey what you want to be done. And this is kind of a funky way to use the arrow, because it kind of moves your eye around like this, and the waves kind of move your eye to the next panel. So I'm going to give them points for using a funky arrow, even though all they had to do was just use this word balloon between the panels, and they would have been fine and dandy going into the next panel. I guess they didn't learn their lesson. They thought this really awesome way of doing it 2 times before, and then this 3rd time they're like, screw it, we're gonna just do it an old funky way with the arrow. But that's also the weakness of the artist, because he made these panels, he laid these panels out like this in a way that made it confusing, or would have been confusing without the arrow. So I kind of blame William Johnson for this, and I hopefully he learns his lesson in his next comics or whatever, and he doesn't do that again. The Samurai do attack Daredevil, and Daredevil just dispatches them easily. Well, not so easily. They do almost kill him. He slices through his robe or garb or whatever, and Daredevil still lays some strikes on the characters. It's awesome because Daredevil uses all of these different strikes and fighting techniques and stuff that other superheroes, especially like Spider-Man or Captain America or something like that, doesn't. So it's kind of interesting to see the different ways that people draw Daredevil in fight scenes compared to other characters. They infiltrate the castle. There's more samurai going and fighting Daredevil and Yuriko, and they finally make it to Lord Darkwind over here, even though the castle kind of collapses and Daredevil is buried under some rubble. And here, out of the shadows, Lord Darkwind comes out with a sword, and he's going to cut Daredevil down. But before he can do that, hearkening back to when Yuriko picked up the sword, she stabs him in the back. So she actually kills Lord Darkwind when Daredevil would never have done that. And she saves Daredevil's life, really. They make their way down to, they have very little small talk. They make their way down to the ocean, to the surf, and Kira's there, and they have a nice reunion and everything. She is now the leader of their clan or whatever, I think, but she's not really into it. She says she's not unhappy that she killed him. She hated him, and they're going to live happily ever after, and Daredevil just kind of is off in the background. So I don't know how, I can't remember how 200 starts or ends. I think he's back in New York, and he's just kind of licking his wounds from being in Japan. So here's the first story arc of Lady Deathstrike and the introduction of the character, and so she kind of is the hero in the end, killing Lord Darkwind. I kind of wish there had been a longer fight with him, maybe revealing his mask and stuff like that. This costume is really kind of cool, and I really kind of like it, the hood and everything like that. I think they do it a disservice, especially in this picture. I think it could have been really great and fantastically illustrated, but they kind of leave it a little lackadaisical, in my opinion. So, like I said, this is the end of the Daredevil arc with Lady Deathstrike, and this is her introduction into the Marvel Universe. And next is Alpha Flight 33 and 34. So I'm not going to give this a review. If I gave it a review, it would be, I always say that. I say I'm not going to, and then I do. But I would say this is maybe a 7. It's not horrible. I mean, it's pretty good. It's a pretty fun read. but it's also not fantastic. There's nothing really fantastic about it. It's just kind of a standard fare, and this is it's kind of why people don't really hearken to these stories as being fantastic, even though he goes to Japan and fights ninjas and samurai. So it's more than just ninjas and samurai. It's also art technique and writing technique, and having a certain amount of artistic flair that makes stories great. And it's not just locations and characters and stuff like that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and all of that jazz, and a thumbs up if you like seeing this kind of stuff. So yeah, like I said, the next story arc will be 33 and 34 of Alpha Flight, and that's where Lady Deathstrike meets Wolverine. And so yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week.